I'm sure by now that there is a rumor going around here that there is a remaster version of Quake 2 coming around pretty soon. So we'll have to see if this is the case or not. But I do want to mention before we go into this review, yes, there is a remaster already on the Xbox 360, which is part of the Quake 4 bonus disc, Quake 2, which I don't know. It's not backwards compatible on Xbox One, unfortunately. Maybe not as of yet, because that's another rumor. More backwards compatibility games thanks to Activision, so we may be getting some of these games added in the future. But if you guys have had a Game Pass, it was originally a part of the Game Pass program on the PC, along with Quake 3 Arena. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the ports of Quake 2 on both Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 1. And I will let you guys know that the original game was developed by id Software and published by Activision. But two different systems have been made. Well, two ports, I should say. But anyways, two ports have been made by two different developers. So I thought as of today, I should start with both games. So I'm going to start off with the Nintendo 64 version, mainly because that was the first one I've actually played and owned, and it's actually cheaper to actually find and grab, by the way. Now, the Nintendo 64 version was actually developed by Rastar Entertainment, and of course, again, published by Activision. Listen, they're all published by Activision, so I don't want to go ahead and repeat myself when it comes to publishers. So, anyways, on the Nintendo 64 version, it actually comes with support of an expansion pack, and you don't need to enable it in the options menu. The game will just detect it and auto-enable it just for you guys, so you don't have to do any work. I do want to mention with the expansion pack on Nintendo 64, you guys can actually get much better graphics and resolution. Well, resolution graphics are basically the same thing, so what am I even talking about? But anyways, the frame rate is actually pretty solid, so for the most part of the game when I played it. Yeah, the animation seems janky at best in this version, but it doesn't mean it's not a bad game. I want to mention this game also has a 4-player support, so you guys can play like death matches and all of that. So yeah, I do want to mention that this has a completely different soundtrack than what it has on the PlayStation 1 and the PC version, from what I can tell you guys. So yeah, this has a completely different levels as well than the PS1 and the PC version. Now, it's more like a horror-based element instead of the whole action, metal, and all that. So it retains the horror action atmosphere, like the first game that Quake 64 had back in the day. And yeah, Quake did come out on Nintendo 64, and there was also a 32-bit version on the Sega Saturn, which a lot of people call it an impressive port, but it got negative reviews, but it's whatever. But I will go on and tell you guys that you guys can move around with the C buttons and look with the joystick. But if you guys don't feel comfortable with this game, you can always change it in the settings. And you can have the joystick removed and use the C buttons to look around. My biggest criticism in this game is that the sensitivity is way too high, and me trying to aim at enemies is a pain in the butt. Just saying all of that. But again, if you guys find yourself a better control scheme in the game, hey, you shouldn't have a problem playing this game. So that's the big thing I can say. And like I said, all the levels are mainly either modified or completely different. The first level, as you guys will play, is going to be the same thing as the PS1 version, but this one's a lot shorter than the PS1 version. And there are mission objectives, so make sure you look and listen. So, anyways, yeah, this is more like a mission objective sort of thing. And what's nice about this is that you don't easily get lost like on the PC version, which is my criticism of the PC version, because I end up getting lost at some sections of the game only because I didn't know where to go. Even though I'm told about the mission base, yeah, they still give you the missions to do. Just the problem is I can never find where to go. But when it comes to this game, all the weapons are mainly the same as the PC version, so that's nice to know. And a lot of new secrets and elements been added, so it's a big thing can say. So, anyways, some of the enemies you may not see on any of the PS1 or PC version, as you guys were questioned why you don't see any certain enemies. Well, certain enemies that you may have not seen too much have been added in this game, which is pretty nice to see. So if you guys like a mission-based Quake game, like a Nintendo 64 version, go ahead and grab it. I actually recommend this version too. Like, if you guys want to play this one, go ahead. You guys can actually play around with your friends in 4-player support. And hey, if I'm wrong, I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think the expansion pack is required for the 4-player support. But like I said, the expansion pack can actually add in a nice resolution and graphics, and the frame rate's pretty well done. But yeah, if you guys want to go play this one, check it out. Now, this PS1 version of the Quake 2 has been developed by Hammerhead, believe it or not. So, with this one, it actually has dual analog support, but it is one of the weirdest schemes I think you guys can ever do. Now listen to this. If you use the left stick, you move up and down, but you look left and right. But if you use the right joystick, you actually look up and down, but move left and right. Which, I get it. People are still trying to figure out how a first-person shooter should, work. But in this case, well, it's whatever. But if you guys don't have a dual shock, it's fine. You guys can use a regular controller, but you make sure you play around with the settings of what's best for you. But what's also strange is that there's 2 other joystick configurations in this version. You use the D-pad to move and the R stick to look. But if you guys don't feel comfortable with that, then how about a freaking left stick to look and the face buttons to move? Something like the Dreamcast is usually most commonly known for when it comes to first-person shooters, which, listen, you can't blame them considering there's no, second analog stick. I mean, the PSP also has something like that too, but the PSP version of the control scheme is actually reversed, which I actually don't mind, honestly, but whatever. Anyways, like I said before, this has completely different missions, and let's just say that these missions are longer, but there's like, there's like 5 or 6 missions for you to do in this game. But these missions are way longer than the Nintendo 64 version from as I known. So, all the weapons remain the same, and there is 4-player support for, play around with your friends and all of that. But you will need a multi-tab, unfortunately. Unless you have a PS3, you should be able to play this game with wireless controllers. No multi-tab required. Again, any PS1 game works on both PS2 and PS3. And hey, just disclaimer, it works with any model of the PS3, just not the PS2 games, unfortunately, which is a pretty shameful thing. Unless you get it from digital, but whatever. Anyways. Yeah, that's kind of like my biggest criticism of this game is the controls. Like, you can't customize them like the Nintendo 64 did, which is a pain in the butt. So, if you guys play this more often, you should be able to get used to them with no problem. Can I mention you guys something about this game too? You guys know something about the PlayStation mouse? Because if you guys have one of those, you can play it with the mouse pad and all that. So, the PlayStation mouse, this is what I heard how it works. You use the analog stick, or maybe just a D-pad, or whatever you guys have, right? You use that to move, and the mouse to look and all that. It's kind of like a mouse and keyboard type of thing, which, hey, if you guys don't like the controller layout, hey, there it is. That's all I can say. No, there's no mouse wheel in it, if asking. And I went to fight the final boss in this one, and man, is he a pain in the butt. I thought it was over for me. I was like, I watched G-Man's live review, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I beat him, and so I thought I beat him first phase. I'm like, what's this guy smoking about, right? And then all of a sudden, the second phase, where I tried coming up with so many different strategies, I don't even know what to do at this point. So, yeah, I made it pretty far in this game. It's not too bad, actually. But yeah, I haven't noticed any sort of frame rate issues with coming to play this game. Well, there was only one moment in the game where it had frame rate issues. That was part of the explosion in one part of the mission, but it wasn't like where it was unplayable or anything, which is a good thing in terms of, you know, telling you guys this. So, yeah. I think the game is pretty good on both systems, if you guys want to know that. Now, for the soundtrack, it uses the same PC version, but I heard it was a mixed bag of both the missions pack and the original game. So, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that the music is randomly generated because each time I keep going back and forth these rooms, different music keeps playing. So, yeah, that's what I can tell you. So, yeah, I should mention with both versions, you can save your game with a memory card, but I should mention, you guys, for the Nintendo 64 version, which I failed to mention in the beginning, that they do have a password save, but it's freaking long, so you may want to write down your, you know, little pieces of paper in case you guys want to, like, you know, resume it. But it's better if you guys have a memory pack. They're not that expensive, but again, you will need some sort of memory card so you don't have to start all over again, which, you know, comes up with these long passwords anyways. I wouldn't care if it was short, but those things were freaking long. It also says that usually it has auto aim, but I don't know. I think it has auto aim, but I don't know. I could be wrong on that part, but I played both versions of this game. It's freaking crazy. But anyways, there's also a fan-made Dreamcast port of the second game, but there's no sound or anything. It's just basically the PC version being ported to the system, but it's whatever. So, what did you guys think? Which version of the game did you guys grew up with? So, let me know down and let me know how your experience was with the game. Again, they're all completely different games, so that's all I can really say in this matter of points. So yeah, if you guys never thought that they'd all be a different game, well, what are you waiting for? Nintendo 64 is the cheapest. Now, the PS1 version isn't as expensive. It's more like around $20 to $40, depending on where you can find it. So, go ahead. Let me know what you guys think about Quake 2 on the consoles, which ones you guys grew up with, and I'll see you then.